Good afternoon and welcome to the TCPalm Editorial Board meeting to interview candidates for St. Lucie County School Board District 4. I'm Larry Reisman, columnist and community editor, and I'm joined by fellow editorial board members Adam Neal and Gil Smart. I'm also joined by Kelly Rogers, who is behind the scene and will direct today's presentation. Thanks to our candidates Jennifer Richardson and Kathryn Hensley for streamlining this process by completing questionnaires ahead of time. Board members have reviewed them and they can be found at tcpalm.com/elections, along with other stories, videos, and information about the November 3rd election. At the conclusion of this interview, editorial board members will discuss possibly writing an editorial to recommend a candidate in this race. We've got several questions for you today, and we might end up having more of a conversation than just a simple Q&A. Our goal is to be completed within 45 minutes. Because of time constraints, we ask that you keep your answers concise. Just like when you are on the dais, you'll have to determine what that means and be respectful of others. We'll start the questions with Kathryn. Kathryn, can you please cite 3 metrics you will use to help determine whether the school district is meeting its mission each year?
Graduation rate of all students, not just the traditional high schools. Another metrics we use is the number of children that are in disciplinary issues that could lead to expulsion. We haven't had expulsion hearing for 6 years. The third one is individual student growth by looking at the dashboard for each single child to make sure that they are being progressing correctly and being in a good stead with their academics as well as their discipline. And if not, then we can address that very, very. We do the dashboard every 24 hours. It is uploaded so we can keep track of every single child.
Thank you. Jennifer, can you please 3 metrics you will use to help determine whether the school district is meeting its mission each year?
Thank you. So matrix number 1 for me is going to be the underperforming schools. We have some underperforming schools in St. Lucie County, and so we're going to have to look at those schools and find out how that we can bring them up to move them up letter grades, but in order to do that, it depends on our students, how they are being taught. So at this point, we need to provide them with the tools necessary to learn. And so, and the teachers, for myself, it's to find the best fit administrator, teachers, whatever it's going to take in order to bring these schools up to par with the other schools in the district. My matrix number 2 is going to be, I agree with Kathryn, Mrs. Hensley, about the disciplinary, the discipline in the schools. There are lots of kids that are being, as far as taken, disciplined by the police or whatever. So that's something that we need to look at. We need to cut down those numbers. So that would definitely be a benchmark for me. And how our money's being spent in the classroom. We have to look at, especially now that we do need money for things that we never planned on. We need to find a way to use these monies better in the classroom. And of course, teacher salary is not going to be one of the things that's going to be touched.
Thank you, Jennifer. We'll start with you on the next question, which is you talked about various schools and stuff like that, but with the added challenges of COVID-19, how can you make sure that students of varying cultures, languages, or socioeconomic backgrounds all receive an education that helps them reach their potential?
I think with anything else, communication is important. We have to have open communication channels, be it with the teachers, with the children for sure, because that's where education happens, and the teachers with the parents, just teachers with administration. So I guess the core right there is teachers. We have to have open channels of communications, definite transparency. The students needs to know to have to be able to speak with their teacher, their, one-on-one if necessary. So it's all about, I believe right now, communication and again, transparency. There are kids that are in school right now, and for me, making sure that they learn, children would learn in an environment that they're safe in. So if we are spending a lot of time trying to keep the environment safe, then that could be a problem. However, if we follow the CDC guidelines and do everything that we should do, the brick and mortar schools, and doing whatever, I think that and that's as much as we can do right now. If we're going to be in the brick and mortar, just follow the CDC guidelines and, wear a mask, wash our hands, and all that good stuff. At home, I stress that we need to make sure that we are having tools, the computers, the internet connections, or everything that's necessary for children to continue to learn.
Thank you, Jennifer. Kathryn?
Oh, we have about 25% of our students that qualify for subsidized or free lunches. So this is a big issue for us. So what we have done is made sure that we have 45% of our students are brick and mortar. That means 55% are not. And we made sure a student who is not in brick and mortar device shared in their home, but a device per student. And around the county, we have hot spots and weak spots for Wi-Fi. So we have buses that are Wi-Fi capable, setting all around the district to make sure that there's access to Wi-Fi. Knowing that there are a lot of families that are really not comfortable putting their students back in brick and mortar, but they really do not want them to be unsupervised. We helped pull together a coalition between the Community Foundation, the county, the school system, Children's Services Council, to make sure that there's some funding to pay for, I would guess you would call it all day camp during the fall, so that there may be 6 students at Lindsay School of the Arts with an actual educator that has met all the criteria. And so they are safe, but they are in a different environment. So that is one of the things we've done. We've also had to make sure that we changed out lights. We changed out the way we do about everything, including our cleaning. And then we will be working, hopefully, with the state to get at least 85% of that cost back to make sure that we can keep our coffers as full as possible at a time when we are looking at a budget shortfall, probably mid-year.
Thank you. I just muted myself there. Thank you. Kathryn, we'll start with you on the next question, which is, can you talk about the pros and cons of school choice options, everything from charters to vouchers, in private schools to homeschools for parents and children in St. Lucie County? What are those pros and cons, and how do you weigh those?
Well, the way I weigh, I have to follow the law even if I don't like it. That's one thing. So I'm not a big fan of charters the way they are now. They are corporate. 1986 law, 1996 law revision actually had to do with being totally innovative. We have not seen that. However, it is the law, and we do try to make them our partners, not our adversaries. Homeschool is an option, and they need to have an IEP. Then we try to make sure those children, if they're in a building, actually still get the services. We also have Mosaic, which is a multi-county 100% online. And we found a lot of homeschool parents do like that avenue. And then we make sure that there are local certified teachers there of assistance. Vouchers are a little bit bothersome. I do believe conservative and think that anybody who takes taxpayer dollars should have a level of accountability. So at this point, vouchers really do not. Charters do report to us every month on their finances. So that is not quite the issue anymore as it was a few years ago. But the voucher issue right now is working with the state to make sure the playing field is level, and that anybody who uses taxpayer dollars has to be accountable for how those dollars are spent, and accountable to the neighborhood and the public in which the charters or voucher schools reside. So the pros are that it is choice. We have so much choice in St. Lucie County with our schools and our programs that some students get confused. But it is important that we make sure that the wide variety of options are there for parents and guardians to choose whatever they think is best for their children.
Thank you, Kathryn. Jennifer?
I believe that every child is entitled to quality education and should be given every opportunity to learn and succeed. And so this is one of the things I'm advocating for. With the one of the pros, I believe is competition. If there is competition, then you find that people, the system, regardless of what system we are talking about, that they will rise to the occasion. Without competition, there is an atmosphere of complacency. So I think that the charter school offers that get up and go, motivator for the public schools to, do what we're supposed to do, and that is to educate our children. We have some failing schools right now, as we know, are underperforming schools. So this, I personally do not want my child to be going to an underperforming school. So I am an advocate for parents' choice. Parents should have the choice to place their children in a school that is going to, at the end of the day, their children will graduate as productive citizens in the community. As a parent myself, I did my research and made sure that my children were going to the best schools that was available at the time. And I believe that every parent wants that for their child. So that's definitely a pro. Diversity, with the charter schools, they become neighborhood schools. So, there is probably there's a lack of diversity there. However, but that's important, because then we know how everybody lives. And so we'll be able to appreciate the culture, everything that goes into making, us who we are as people. So diversity is very important. And then there's also the issue of transportation, so there are some pros, but there are some cons. And I think that at the end of the day, we can work together. Like Mrs. Hensley say, it is the law. So, we have to abide by the law and do what the law says.
Thank you, Jennifer. To just follow up on that a little bit, and then I'll give Ms. Hensley an opportunity, but you talked about failing schools. How do you think failing schools should be fixed?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How do you think failing schools should be fixed?
I don't know that there is only one solution. I think you have to look at the schools individually, find out what the issues are in the schools, and work with them, one issue at a time. But I do believe that we need to find the best fit. The anointing falls from the top. We need to find the best fit of the personnel that we're putting in the schools to make sure that they are cohesive, they work together, we're on the same page, build up morale, and maybe start there, make sure that the schools are equipped with the tools that they need to learn. We need to create that atmosphere for learning in the children. We need to look at the kids, find out, every child has as a learning style, what these learning styles are, and see if we can work in with the kids with these learning styles. There are so many issues, but we have to start somewhere. Maybe, I'm all for relationship building. Nobody knows our kids better than the parents. Bring the parents. Let us all get together, have a conversation. What is going on here? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? And let's put it together and see how we can best remedy the solution. These, what the issues are, what the solutions can be. Let me tell you, where there's a will, there's a way. Necessity is the mother of invention. No is not an option. I can't, it will not do. We're talking about our children. We're talking about their lives. We're talking the rest of their lives. So it's not something that we can just, bury and say, it'll take care of itself. No, we have to, as parents, as the community, we are their voice and they are depending on us to do the best thing, what's in their best interest, and that's what we need to do.
Thank you. Kathryn, Ms. Richardson talked about failing schools. How would you improve failing schools?
Well, we don't have failing schools. We have some schools that need a lot more assistance than others, that is for sure. We have a couple of schools that approach 100% free and reduced lunch with multiple languages. So when we look at the matrix of the individual student success, they can still make great strides. Matrix, they still do not show up as making improvement. So we have, I'll use one school where our students can make 2 years or 2.5 years of progress in 1 year, but because they didn't get up to the mark, they do not count as being hitting that. Have all the resources they need to be able to do that. And sometimes that means changing out administration or changing out teachers or whatever. We're not an employment agency or a mission-driven agency. So when we try to find what the issues are and then try to resolve them, sometimes it is extra resources, sometimes it's extra eyes, and sometimes it is just accepting the fact that our kids are struggling and making great strides for which the state does not give us any credit. This is the year that this district would have been an A district because we have as a huge lift for the years. We will have underperforming schools. They are tied often to the students. So when we look at third grade reading, that gives us the benchmark of where they had that disaggregated education. And so because we're source there, then they're still graduating. They may not look like they're doing well in third grade, but they are graduating on time with a pathway to future success.
Okay, thank you. Kathryn, we'll start with you on this next question. Finances always seem to be a challenge. What would your strategy be before voting on reallocating funds to make ends meet? What are the priorities?
The priorities always are our faculty and staff. We have probably 85.7%, I believe, of our budget goes directly to teachers and those who interact with students. So that is a big deal. As you know, the state is not up to where we were in 2000 as far as money per FTE. So we've been very frugal and very careful. We use our dollars. Our teachers, the pay raises that we thought they deserved. So we went out for a millage, which passed very handily, so that we could actually give them, at least for 4 years, a stipend that is extra money that actually will go towards their retirement. We're trying to make sure that we keep our priorities in place. And we even start our school board meetings. We start with students, and then we go to faculty and staff and all that before we get to the business as usual. So fighting with the state to make sure that education is a constant, but knowing that that is not going to be a priority of the state probably in the degree I wish it was. We are very, very careful about how we do our budget and with the conversations we have about what the true priorities of the district are. So we have got the best seal of best practices from OPAGA many years ago, and we've maintained that. So we have been able to share some of our financial mechanisms to other districts. It's quite a trick, but it is because we're mission driven. We understand that our kids and our teachers have to come first, and that means often delayed projects or delayed programs. So we just did our budget last night. We have a very, very large budget that is including our food service, which is an enterprise fund, and several other of our organizations have become enterprise funds, which means they're on their own, which has helped to a degree to make sure that we keep our focus.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer?
So, yes, I'm sure money is a challenge right now. So, the first thing that comes to mind is prioritizing, what is important. So education is about educating our children. So it's about teaching them. So to me, that's where the money is going to go first in the classrooms. It's going to go to pay our teachers. It's going to, buy supplies, whatever it is that is essential to teaching our children, the lunches, transportation, or whatever it is that's important. So we have this list. I'm just simplifying it, because I know it's a $1 billion budget. But, we have this list and we look and we say, this is important, that's important. So we move those aside and then we look at what's left. And that what left is what we that's where we have the conversation, So especially with COVID-19, we need to have money is set aside because, things changes. We're always going to need masks, always going to need onto this pass. So there has to be some money that's put aside. So that goes in that part where we're not going to touch, it's not up for discussion. So the things that are not up for discussion, they are not up for discussion. Teacher salaries are not up for discussion. Those are things that our students, what they need is not up for discussion. The things that are up for discussion, that's where we need to have those conversations.
Okay, thank you. We'll start with Jennifer on this next question. Can you please grade the effectiveness of the school board with an A to F grade with a one-sentence explanation of why?
Grade the effectiveness of the school board?
Yes.
For right now, I'm just going to say a C. I think that they are, they're just things that I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing a transparency. I'm not seeing a relationship building with the community, a one-on-one with the community and the school board. I think that the community, they are, sometimes they hesitate about speaking, to the board because I don't think they think that they're going to get the desired results. There's not a trust. I don't think that the community totally trusts the school board, the agendas. It's just not there. So I would say I'd say C.
Okay, Kathryn.
Well, of course, I'm biased on this. I would say at A minus. We are held up in the state as an example of how a board is supposed to work. And we have actually done a lot of training on how a board is supposed to work. A minus is because we have some ways to go because we always have improvement to be made, but we are working on every little thing that we can find out to be individually improving as board members and improving as a board as a whole.
Okay, thank you. Kathryn, we'll go to the next question with you. We'll start with you on this one, and that is, can you please give an example of ethical dilemma you might have faced at some point in your life? How did you decide what to do?
There are there's been several, supposed ethical dilemmas. One of the ethical dilemmas that caused some great consternation was that when we did our comprehensive health curriculum, there was a great push by people that I held dear to not even bring it up for discussion. It was important to the lives of our kids and families in this community that we not be number one in the AIDS crisis in the country for young men. So that was not as difficult to resolve because I am more committed to my kids and my community than I am to some people who would now probably be good acquaintances and not necessarily friends.
Okay, thank you for that. Jennifer, want me to read the question again, or do you have?
I think I got it. So
Okay.
I am a licensed to write insurance. And, sometimes when you are in front of a customer, client, you always are faced with a choice. Am I going to write an insurance policy for the person that is, I know they can afford it, but they probably don't need it. They're always faced with that. And at the end of the day, I have to practice what I preach. I have to live this life in front of my children because children it's not what I say, it's what I do, So at the end of the day, I don't only have a responsibility to myself, but I have a responsibility to my family. So the ethical thing is to, I'm just this is what you need. Okay. However, if you would please recommend, and because you're doing the right thing, they trust you. And so, that's how you build your business. It's all about trust. It's all about building relationship. It's all about having people know again that they can come to you and that you will do the right thing. And that's what Jennifer is about, doing the right thing, no hidden agendas.
Thank you. Okay, Jennifer, you get the next question here. Can you please give us an example of a time when you served on a nonprofit board, company committee, any kind of collegial body, and you disagreed with others on an important issue? How are you able to either get others to see your point of view or understand their idea was better?
A nonprofit, I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
I'm sorry. Can you give us a time when you might have been on a nonprofit board or any other kind of collegial body, company committee, and you disagreed with others on an important issue? How were you able to get others to see your point of view or understand their idea was better?
Okay, so my nonprofit board would definitely be at my church. And, it's all about, negotiating and knowing that, doing your research and knowing what's in the best interest of whatever the issue is at that moment in time. I've always worked with young children, with girls, and mentoring girls. And sometimes the issue comes up with, maybe the pastors and myself about how to go about doing whatever it is, whether it's, going out for flag ministry or whatever, is it safe or whatever it is. So as long as I do my research, I would go to them, I'd explain to them exactly what it is and why it is and how it is. And if, I am, how can I say, I am where if I can say I was wrong, I'm sorry, your idea is better than mine, and it's okay. I have no problem with that. So, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Kathryn, did you understand it? Did you hear the question?
I did, and it's hard to pick just one. But I'll give you a general example without naming an agency. There was a need to make sure that parents could talk to their children in a different way. They need to understand what we need to be empowered to talk to their children about sex, academics, making good choices, whatever it is. We had a robust discussion about who had the capability of doing that. I didn't get my way. I did learn that there were more opportunities than I had understood. The results were that it was done. And it took communication, give and take, give up the principles or the idea, but gave up the idea was the agency who could do that. And it has served our community well. And that's happened in many organizations where a little facilitation, discussion actually gets you to a better result than any place you could have gone on your own.
Thanks, Kathryn. I've got, let me just see, are there any other questions? Gil, Adam? Other questions? Okay, I've got one more, and then we'll ask you to sort of wrap it up with anything that we missed that you'd like to talk about. But for Kathryn, what are St. Lucie County Schools' greatest non-financial challenges going ahead? How do you propose to fix them?
Our non-financial challenges tend to be building more and more partnerships, which cost us nothing but give great benefit to our kids. Expanding on the manufacturing, there's a huge group within our 4-county area that deals with we had great plans that have been put on hold, of course, but expanding the manufacturing opportunities for our kids within the region, not just the county. Building better partnerships with University of Florida and expanding on what we're doing with Harbor Branch FAU. A lot of those different programs that we can actually enhance because of partnerships will cost us no money, but bring us great reward for our kids and for our community and actually for our region. So those are the kind of the main things, and making to keep focus on everything. Right now, the financial challenge with COVID is one thing, but the non-financial piece of that is that we have been able to build collaborations to serve our kids that we might not have been able to do if there hadn't been a crisis. So out of every crisis that we face, there is something we can take out of that to build on. And I think that's the non-financial piece of where we're going, is building on the lessons we have learned and are learning from the different crises we've gone through to make sure we do a better job in our community, maximize taxpayer dollars, expand the opportunities that we're working on with our kids and our families. So it's not always about finance. It is about mission and focus.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer, what are St. Lucie County Schools' greatest non-financial challenges? How would you propose to fix them?
I agree with the community involvement. One of my advocacies is expanding vocational and technical schools. And so in that respect, I think that, the community involvement in that would definitely go a long way in, keeping our kids off of the street, giving them some hope, vitalizing even our community, make it even richer, because our children would have a job, so in terms of internship and on-the-job training and that kind of community involvement. And for our, keeping our teachers retention, just letting our teachers know that we care, we love them, they're appreciated, and just doing just the little things that we can to keep our teachers here. Because if you know that you're loved, you're cared for, and the atmosphere is just right, there is nothing that you wouldn't do. You would go over and beyond. It doesn't take money, to say, I love you, or I care, or I appreciate you today. It really just takes it's an act of kindness. And the same goes for underperforming schools. Our kids needs to know that they are loved. We need to tell our children what they can do. We don't need to show them what they can't do. It's not about what I can't. It's like the little red engine that could. I think I can. I think I can. It's what we can do. So it really, in the big scheme of things, it's the little things that matters.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. So now we're going to give each of you an opportunity, just anything that you'd like to tell us, anything that we missed. We'll give Jennifer, we'll give you the first option to let us know, summarize, whatever you'd like to do.
Well, I'd just like to say that I absolutely love our community. I love our kids. It's my passion. When I talk about our children, I get very excited. It sounds like I'm just over and above, but I am very passionate about our children succeeding. Again, they don't have a voice. We are their voice. They are depending on us to do the right thing by them. And so that is what I'm here to do, to be our children's voice, to be our parents' voice, to be the community's voice. We need to, the school board is here to advocate for on behalf of the community. We need to listen to the community. We need to be in the community. We need to see the community. And better yet, they need to see us. They need to know that we care. Education is a foundation for everything and anything. Doctors need the teachers. Even teachers need the teachers. Everybody at some point, we need to be taught. So education is the foundation of our whole society. So this is important. This is not something that we should take lightly. So I'm saying that this November 3rd, go out and vote Jennifer Richardson. She does not have an agenda or a hidden agenda. The only agenda she has is to make sure that our children succeed. Children cannot succeed without teachers and the support staff. So Jennifer Richardson, vote change, vote history, vote Jennifer Richardson, November 3rd. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. Kathryn, any last words?
I always have last words. I'm my mantra, as you probably already know, is to do as much as I can for as many as I can in every way I can. And part of that means that you have to be everywhere to do everything. Transportation, healthcare, everything impacts our kids. And we as a district touch about 150,000 people a day. We impact our community every single day. So making sure that we have those partnerships to expand those vocational programs, not the ones that are just the old days type stuff, but they're really the jobs that are going to be there now, that are going to be there in the next few years, and make sure we prepare those kids, our students, to be able to walk into those jobs, which they're doing now, coming out with certifications and walking into positions that most kids a few years ago would not have been able to do. Making sure that we understand what the economic drivers are in a community so that we can react quickly. So when something changes, that we can address it quickly. We can change within a semester. We can change curriculum. When we put together a Research Coast document, the idea was to take that document back and retool our schools, which we did. And now we're retooling them every year to make sure we're keeping up with the manufacturing, with the building trades, with all those different things. as well as making sure that the arts are an important part of our curriculum in every school. It is not fluff. It makes kids' brains work. Kids will do what they have to do if they get to do things they like to do. So when you're 15 years old, you get to crash a plane central on a simulator, you learn some lessons about what you may want to be or not be when you're 18 to 21. So I'm very pleased with the direction this district has taken. We have the Transparency Seal of Best Practices. We have the OPAGA Seal. We have been very careful about making sure that whatever we do is in the public, and we are in the public. I, as you know, sit on a lot of different boards, and all those boards focus on what is the best thing for our kids in their future, as well as the families that we have now. So it is very important that people understand that the safety net takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. You get to go to meetings sometimes where you're not actually invited. But it's a learning experience. And then you take that experience and you take it back to where your job, my mission, and see what we're missing, what we can enhance. So I'm very excited about the direction this county has taken, the direction the school system has taken, the fact that we have overcome great obstacles to great success. And other counties, even some counties that should know better, have challenged us that you can't do what you do with your demographics. And I can show that, yes, you can, and we will share how we did it.
Thanks, Kathryn. I appreciate that, and appreciate Jennifer Richardson and Kathryn Hensley, candidates for St. Lucie County School Board District 4, that have joined us today. We appreciate them running. It takes a lot to put yourself in the public light and do that. Thank you for joining us, viewers, and you can learn more about the November 3rd election at tcpalm.com/elections. Thanks and have a great day.